Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance in Sacramento today, and we are joined by Tom Scott. He is the California State Director of the National Federation of Independent Business, which focuses upon small business advocacy.
Yeah, thanks for having me,
No,
Brad.
absolutely. I want to speak about an issue that really raises the ire of many small businesses, and that's the question of regulation in our state. I don't want to take a position, but Chief Executive Magazine regularly ranks California as 50th out of 50 in regulatory burden. Talk us through how that impacts small business.
Well, look, like you said, CEO Magazine, 10 years in a row, dead last for our business climate.
But especially in regulation, because we can conflate. So I want to zero in on the regulation side.
Regulations are strangling small business at a lot of different levels, whether, because let's say the legislature passes a bill and then all of a sudden it goes into the regulatory phase where the language and the specifics are worked out. That is where the regulators are unchecked. A lot of times people don't attend the public workshops, they don't comment on the comment periods, so these regulations just start flowing out that have huge impacts, not only from a cost standpoint, but just from operating a business, let alone a small business trying to even figure out that the regulation is somewhere out there.
Right, it's one thing for a big business who has an HR department, a regular department, they can look at these issues and follow the legislation, the regulation, but a mom and pop shop, what do they know?
Most of these people are just trying to make a buck, take care of their employees, protect their investment. I have said completely that what is wrong in this state for decades after decades, we have been piling it on laws, regulations, and for a small business owner to try and navigate that gauntlet is impossible.
What's interesting about the regulatory environment is that Californians, in a lot of ways, they seem schizophrenic on the issue, because most Californians will complain generically that we have too many regulations. But then when you start talking about the environment, consumer protection, I like those regulations. Workplace safety, I like those regulations. And so it's kind of a dual message that's being said.
I think it's a delicate balance.
Right.
That, look, what's going on here is that, if you violate a regulation, all of a sudden that agency becomes like a civil servant bounty hunter. They want to fine, they want to fee you, they want to slap you with violations. You're a small business that's making maybe 40 to 60 grand at the end of a year when all is said and done. Well, that can be a game changer.
My question is, there have been bills floated over the years that allow for cure.
Yeah.
Is that something that can be successful? I'm not even sure if those bills have made it, or maybe in a few areas they have.
Few areas. Prop 65.
Right.
There's a bill that was put into law that would allow people to get that warning sign up. ADA, the state has been plagued by ADA shakedown lawsuits.
Right, and so there's cure now.
Yeah, 15-day, get the right sign up, get the paint fixed, get the truncated domes.
Right.
If you took the model of corrective action and took it across all governmental agencies, again, on minor infractions, not gross negligence, there's a difference, and focus it on small business, you would do more to help small businesses in the state of California by giving a 30-day correct. You get a warning from BOE, you get a warning from some governmental agency. 30 days, correct it, and we will not move forward on any violations or fines.
Is that something that NFIB is looking at, or allies in?
We actually, Assemblyman Jim Frazier down in Vacaville.
A Democrat, right?
Democrat, and this is, it's got, our members don't care big D, big R. This is about compliance, about survival of small business. if we can have a broad bipartisan support.
Right.
So he's got a bill that would focus in on Cal OSHA,
Okay, right.
give a corrective period before any violations, fines would occur. There's another bill by Assemblywoman Aguiar Curry,
right.
who is
A new member,
yeah,
a
new
Democrat.
member from over just in Yolo County. She's got a bill focused on the Board of Equalization. I think these models, as much as I would like to see, are broader
Right.
brush. But, you know, it's little victories.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, you know, we've been having meetings on both sides of the aisles. People get it. Democrats, Republicans in that building all come from, vast majority come from small business worlds.
What's also interesting about the current environment is we have a new administration in Washington that's looking at a completely new paradigm on regulation. And so how does California kind of balance its environment, which is more regulatory, with an environment in DC? Who knows what's going to happen?
Well, there's certainly among small business, NFIB does an optimism index. It's at the highest level it's been nationally in 12 years. That's understandable considering Congress, the new president. NFIB's focused on tax reform, regulatory reform, healthcare reform. Those are all big issues for small business. But I have said repeatedly, do not take that national optimism and transfer it to the state of California. What NFIB members and small businesses in California are dealing with is at a complete different level than what's going on in Washington, D.C. And quite frankly, there are no concrete proposals coming out of D.C. as of yet.
And if, to the extent that the new president has signed executive orders, it seems to be helping bigger business and not so much small business.
Yeah, and
fair?
I think the devil's in the details.
Right.
I mean, like even with repealing of Obamacare, you know, you've got to have a proposal. What's it going to be replaced with? Same with tax reform. It's going to take months, if not years, to try and maneuver that stuff through. California acts as its own nation state.
Some want it to act as its own nation.
And it will continue to do that. We have, as you know, cities and counties in this state that don't even care what the state capital is doing. They are going to move on their fronts too. We've seen this with sick leave, paid leave, minimum wage.
Right.
So you have a very different environment here in California.
Let me ask you about that environment, because look, I'm just, you know, a good old television host. What do I know? But it does feel as if, vis-a-vis 10 years ago, that you have a Democratic Party that is interested in regulatory reform. I mean, you have a governor who says it's the Lord's work to reform CEQA. Now, he's reforming CEQA, or CEQA's being reformed for football stadiums. But, you know, but do you feel as if maybe the environment is ripe for bona fide regulatory reform?
Little victories.
Lied, you said it. I know. Yeah,
you know,
said it.
I mean, look, you know, a lot of times if it behooves a certain legislator to achieve a certain goal, you know, they embrace CEQA.
But could we see bigger victories, given what's happening in Washington? Just the kind of tone, the tenor.
You know, look,
Man can dream.
I am the proverbial optimist. Right. I mean, this small business, 75% of all the jobs created come from small business. I mean, we have 3.5 million small businesses. Who runs small businesses? Working families.
Okay.
This is a good issue, and there's no reason why we can't all work across the aisle and get things done.
Well, we'll have you back.
No, love to.
His name is Tom Scott. He is the California State Director of the National Federation of Independent Business, supporting small businesses. I'm Brad Pomerance, Local Edition.